Did you know that the total amount of water in your body, which we call the total body water, accounts for approximately 60% of your body weight? I'm Dr. Juliet, and welcome to Jules Summit Biochemistry Hub, your go-to place for mastering biochemistry, one concept at a time. What is total body water? Like I said initially, the total amount of water in your body. This water in your body, which is approximately 42 liters, is distributed into two major compartments, inside the cell and outside the cell. The fluid inside the cell, we call it intracellular fluid, accounts for 40% of your body weight, while the fluid outside the cell, which we call the extracellular fluid, accounts for approximately 20% of your body weight. What determines the amount of water in your body? Three major factors. Age. Children, infants, tend to have higher water in the body than adults. So for an infant or a newborn, the water in the body will account for up to 70 to 75% of their body weight. What about the adult? The adult man, 70 kg man, will have 60% of his body weight due to water. And then the elderly person will have lower, approximately 50% of their weight as water. The next factor will be sex. It is well known that men have higher body water than females. What could be the reason? Fat content. Women have more fat in the system than men, and we know that fat contains lesser amount of water than muscles, which are higher in males. And then lastly will be body composition. How much fat is in your body? So that obese people with higher than normal weight, they tend to have lower amount of water in their body than those of normal weight. So the higher amount of fat in your body, lesser will be the amount of water in your system. Now let's go back to the two major compartments, intracellular and extracellular. The intracellular fluid is more, as you can see, 40%. While for extracellular fluid, it is further divided into three different compartments. We have the interstitial fluid, the fluid between cells. We have the plasma, or we call the vascular fluid, the fluid in the blood. So the interstitial fluid accounts for 15% of the ECF, while the plasma accounts for 5% of the ECF. And then lastly, we have the transcellular fluid. The amount here will vary. What are transcellular fluids? Fluids that are found in specific locations in the body, like in the brain and spinal cord, which we call the cerebrospinal fluid. The fluid in synovial joints, like joints of the knee, of the shoulders, and the hip. They contain the fluid that is about lubrication, cushioning of the joints, synovial fluid. Another example will be the fluid in the pericardium of the heart, and then the fluid in the peritoneum, which is the abdomen, or the abdominal cavity. Remember the functions of water. Basically, number one, they provide the medium for biochemical reactions to take place. They are also important in the regulation of temperature. We have them functioning vitally in the transport of nutrients and waste, and as we've seen, in transcellular fluids, they are also involved in the cushioning, lubrication of joints and membranes. What is the clinical significance of your total body water? Basically, we have three here. We'll discuss three. Edema, which is swelling. When there's a disturbance in the quantity of water that should be in any of these compartments, it can lead to swelling, particularly swellings, excessive fluid in the interstitial spaces between cells. It can lead to swelling. We can even see this in the brain, sometimes what we call cerebral edema. Another thing will be dehydration. Reduction in the amount of fluid in any of these specific locations is what we call dehydration. Dehydration affects these compartments differently, so that we have three types: isotonic dehydration, hypotonic dehydration, or hypertonic dehydration. Isotonic dehydration is equal loss of water and sodium from the body, so that the amount of fluid lost doesn't really affect these compartments because fluid and water are still at a balance. And then we have the hypotonic dehydration, where you have high loss of sodium than water, so that we have less sodium in the extracellular fluid. That could lead to movement of water, from one compartment to another, so that we'll have more water in the extracellular space. Water cannot flow to the ICF. They can lead to cerebral edema in severe cases. And then we have the hypertonic dehydration, where we have higher loss of water than sodium, so that the blood becomes too concentrated. So we have water moving from intracellular space to the extracellular space, and that can cause confusion in the brain, even coma or seizure in severe cases. And then lastly, another relevance of total body water will be fluid replacement therapy, which comes to mind when there is dehydration. The type of fluid that will be used will depend on the compartment that is being affected in that particular situation. I